Well, this was a really good question because I get this a lot. There's Bill. He's back on the air.
Yeah, it's a different camera, but see how long this one works.
Are you hard on cameras or is it your face?
Well, this one that plugs in just seems to stop working. This is like the laptop one. Anyway, if
Yeah,
it works, it works.
my laptop one works forever. The one I bought for the top, they were actually Amir bought it for me. This 1080p babe here works all the time. Okay, so the question is, I don't know what your guys' experience, but I've been married 3 times and I had 2 wives that were financially irresponsible and one that wasn't. And this guy wants to know why are women financially why are women so financially irresponsible? And he went through both of his wives, explaining how it broke up both marriages. They couldn't stop spending money. And he wanted to know why that is. From a psychology standpoint, I guess. Well, I looked up on the internet on all the scientific studies on this just to make sure I'm not sticking my foot in my mouth. And men and women are both irresponsible financially. It isn't a matter of the different brains that I initially was going to guess. That's not it. I will go back to my original guess. Neither one of my wives had any training about money. The first one, my first wife, Janet, grew up in a house where her father was a common laborer and her mother was a third-grade dropout. And her dad would buy a new car every time he paid off the old car. And they lived in a dumpy rented house in the bad part of town in Clarion. And when we got to California and she got a job and I had a job, that was the reason we moved to California. We couldn't get jobs back there. And she was pretty good for a while, but then the more money we make, the more she seemed to spend. And we would have sit downs and make up budgets and do all sorts of things. And she just couldn't help herself. She'd go to the supermarket or go to the mall and buy things that we didn't need and didn't want. And it wasn't the cause of the marriage breaking up, but it was just a never-ending source of pain in the ass. The second wife was raised by parents who were like mine. They both came from the Depression, and they were very on both of her daughters and her brother about money, and they were all very responsible about money and took care of money and always had jobs and saved their money and all that. And the third wife, Joanna, came from another bad family with a father in and out of prison and a mother who was a high school dropout and a member of a gang. She didn't know jack shit about money. She was raised by her grandmother, basically. And her grandmother didn't know anything about money either. Her grandmother was about the only one of all this family of brothers and sisters that had a job, and they would wait for mom to come home Fridays, and then they would all go out. Can you believe this? They would all go out to a Mexican restaurant. These are Mexicans going to a Mexican restaurant. And Joanna would say to me, I used to say to them, we have this stuff at home all the time. Why don't we go somewhere we get something different? And they said, no, we like it here. So anyway, she didn't know shit about money either. It's a shame. I think it's lack of training. Let me see what else I wrote down. Oh, my daughter, who was raised by me from 14, almost 16 roughly on, was terrible with money. Because her mother, she spent the formative years with her mother, who I previously explained, wasn't very good with money. And so she had all those bad habits. And I cured it by just giving her $5 a week. And she said, well, Mom gives me $20 a week. And I said, that's nice. I don't agree with that. $5 a week, that's all you get. So she learned to control the $5. Now, that's how I was controlled by my father, okay? You get a dime. Let's see what you can do with a dime, okay? And when the dime's gone, it's fucking another 4 or 5 days payday, allowance day. And I understood the connections, okay? Well, Cindy understood it for a while, and then when she got a car and was out at night, I got her one of those credit cards, a cheap $250 limit credit card, whatever they're called, student cards, I guess. And she managed to keep that maxed out all the time. And she never told me. she would just pay the interest or whatever on the card. And I didn't know any of this was going on. And then she got a job and she made enough money to get another credit card on her own because I already got the first one for her. So she maxed that one out. And then she got another card. And by the time she was 22, she was the equivalent of bankrupt. And she didn't have any money. She ruined her credit. And her solution to the problem was right out of the way I was raised and I would have taught her. She took all her credit cards, cut them in half, and threw them in the trash. And she's 46 and she doesn't have a credit card. She says, I don't know why, Dad, but I just can't control myself. And I said, well, I bought it for you for emergencies. And she said, everything was an emergency, everything. Okay. That's my own DNA telling me that. So there's something going on there with females. And I would say it's mostly lack of training or growing up with a parent that doesn't have any knowledge and any discipline. Okay, the other one is, the other thing I wrote down was, some guy asked me at a workshop one time about, he was 32 and Savon, one of our T-babes early on, was about 19 or 20 at the time. And she called him on some bullshit he was trying to lay on her. They were doing role playing and he blushed and got caught. And he said, how come she knows so much about relationships and she's only 20? And I'm 33 and I don't know any of this stuff. And I said, well, I had to think a bit. And I said, well, the way we raise our kids in America is the daughter is taught from 0 to 2 years old and on up. The most important thing about being a female is to grow up, find a rich husband, marry him, and have 2 cute kids. Then you're a successful woman. And us boys are raised to think, or told, you have to make a lot of money from 0 to 2 and all the way up. You have to make a lot of money and then you'll be a success. That was definitely me. So on my radar from 2 years on up was how to make money. Pay attention. I paid attention to everything, people talking about money, getting a job, how to keep a job, whatever. Savon pays attention to how to know whether men are bullshitting you or not, how to know whether he's a good catch, how to know whether he's telling the truth. That's been on her radar. She watches soap operas. She watches movies, comedies about love. That's all on her radar. We don't pay any attention to that. Fuck that. Cut to the tits, okay, and skip all this other stuff. So that's us, and we are raised with this goal: make money. They're raised with get a husband, so they don't have much training in get money, make money, and we're raised to make money, and we don't know shit about women. So that's the difference in our culture that might help explain to this guy why he thinks they're irresponsible. Also, shopping is an addiction. Now, the girlfriend Dawn I had for a while, I told you, was $60,000 in debt. She was definitely addicted to shopping. I was in her house one day and I said, where do you keep all your jeans? This girl had a great fucking bod. She had a little tiny waist, big hips, and big tits, and she was like this. And I just loved her to wear those hip hugger jeans that were down here like that with all this bare midriff. And she always seemed to have a different pair on. So I'm in their house one day and she opens the closet. And here's a stack of jeans, you can't see, this high. 3 stacks of jeans, and they're all fucking True Religion jeans. They're $300 and up. Wow. This girl's a fucking restaurant manager waitress. Christ,
Shit.
I mean, that's just so stupid. And she also bought, even her daughters told her she was stupid about this, some kind of skin cream. And I read the label and it had the same stuff on it that other skin cream has on it, but it was, no, you name it. It was $90 instead of $5. Okay. But she had to have that. She would drive to Santa Ana to get it. See, and she was raised by her grandfather. She was abandoned by her mother and father at 4 years old. So she has no knowledge about anything, none, zero. So the poor girl's 47 years old, $60,000 in debt, been bankrupt twice before that, and about to go a third time, which is when I left. So some people just can't do it. No matter how much pain they endure, they don't stop behaving in a bad way, in a self-destructive way. But I think they've changed the bankruptcy laws so that you can't do it willy-nilly anymore. So that might straighten her out. Anyway, that's the rant on why women are financially irresponsible.